It's been one of those weeks, though. Election time's coming up on Tuesday. Make sure you get out and vote.
Definitely.
Mary Michele is here, taking your calls on astrology at 241-1310. Do you want to talk for 2 seconds, or do you want to go directly to the phones, because we have a caller?
Let's go to the caller.
Okay, Mary is calling from Mount Kisco. Listening on 1310 AM, WVIP. And Mary's date of birth is January 8th, 1913. Mary, are you there?
Yeah.
Good morning to you.
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning, Mary.
Good morning. I just thought, what's for me for the rest of the year?
Okay, January 8th,
Yeah.
1913. Okay, you were born with the sun in Capricorn, as you know, and the moon in Aquarius, Mercury in Sagittarius, Venus in Pisces. There's a big shift happening here in the end of November. There's going to be 7 planets in Sagittarius.
Is that good?
Have you been someone that has ever been interested in philosophy or higher learning or teaching or things like that? Well, it's a time that you're going to want to do a little bit more of that. There's going to be inspiration that's going to come to you. You're going to have something that's going to give you some solace and peace of mind, but you will have to reach for it. In other words, you're going to have to exercise your mind to do this. Is there something that may be coming up that you know of?
No, not that I know of.
Well, what kind of things do you do? What kind of things get you out of the house and gets you thinking? Do you read?
Oh, no, I don't. I read a lot, but I do home nursing even for my age.
Wow, well, that's great.
Yeah, and I was just wondering how the job situation is going to go. So far, the job situation is good.
Well, I think right at the moment, you know, it's good in this, as I say, this Sagittarius is the sign of inspiration and higher learning and philosophy. So it could be either you will meet someone in your capacity with the nursing where you will, you know, get some great insight from them, or it could be that, you know, within the nature of your job, you'll have some new idea, a new way that you want to go with it.
How about health?
Health.
So far, so good.
Yeah, right. Well, you know, I think it's great that you're doing all that you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think as long as you continue to have the attitude that you have, you will.
Well, I always think positively, you know.
Well, that's wonderful.
Well, thank you for your help.
Thanks so much for calling.
Thank you for calling, Mary. Have a good day. Mary, listening on AM 1310 WVIP. Mary Michele, you know, when people call in, they give you their date of birth. I know this is not what you really wanted to talk about, but that's okay. You have a book there. Could you just hold it up so people can see what it looks like? And if you could just, you know, I mean, you know what it looks like? It looks like a commodities table.
Yes.
But
Exactly.
what actually does it show?
It shows according to world time at midnight in Greenwich, England, because that's where time starts, you know. It shows where all the different planets are at any particular day, you know, so it'll show, you know, where the sun is, the moon is, Mercury, and the degree in the constellation, because each constellation has 30 degrees. So let's see, for instance, today is the 3rd of November, and we have the sun at 11 degrees of Scorpio, and we have the moon in the final degrees of Pisces. It's about to shift and move on to the next sign, the sign of Aries, around lunchtime. So there'll be a little bit of a shift of energy. Things won't quite seem so foggy after lunch.
Especially with the fog that's out there. Okay, you wanted to talk about Pluto today, and we're not talking about the dog and the cartoons. We're talking about Pluto as in the...
Planet Pluto.
Thank you.
Well, the symbology is similar, though, because I think that when Disney came up with the idea of Pluto, you know, they say that the person that guards the gates of the underworld, Hades, Pluto, in, you know, Greek and Roman mythology, it's called, in one it's Pluto and the other it's Hades. But they often talk about the dogs that guard the entrance to the underworld. So I think Disney made him a little more approachable in calling him Pluto. And, you know, I think that's an important thing, because I don't think we should be afraid of the underworld and the unconscious. And that's why I wanted to talk about Pluto today, because we're in the sign of Scorpio, and Scorpio rules Pluto. Now, as you know, Pluto is the god of the underworld, and Scorpio is the time of year when the Earth undergoes a transformation. It freezes. it's the time in a lot of, particularly Western European cultures, people would sort of bed down for the winter. There was a hibernation process. Bears were the symbols of a lot of Northern European cultures. And this whole idea of going into hibernation is something that you're delving into the unconscious. You're going to sleep. You're going into a deep sleep, and you're starting to look at things from a way that you perhaps don't, when the sun's out, when the consciousness is more prevalent. And Pluto was he was the brother of Zeus. He was also part of the shadow of Saturn, his father Saturn, who ate all of his brothers and Pluto. But the idea was that when Jupiter came along and released them, that they were able to come out of the shadow self of Saturn. But Pluto, never completely came out of it because he was given realm. His kingdom was the underworld, and this is something that perhaps made him a little angry. So this is the side of Pluto that can be unpleasant. And I think the nature of what one might call evil, which is something is an old concept, and we deal with it today more in the terms of psychology or psychiatry, where we talk about it in terms of the shadow, the side of ourselves that we don't want to look at or we don't want to acknowledge. But I think the reason why people like to go to horror films is because it satisfies that need in themselves. It's important to realize that we all have a side of ourselves that isn't particularly pleasant. But what we want to do is we want to live with it. We don't want to sublimate it. We want to understand that we can go back and forth, which is where Persephone comes into the legend with Pluto.
Who?
Persephone. She was the goddess that was abducted by Pluto. She was in the Elysian fields. Her mother, Demeter, had sent her off to collect some flowers, and she was abducted and taken down into the underworld. So maybe I'll get back to Persephone in a minute.
Okay, why don't we do that? I've got Dorothy on the line. Dorothy, if you will hold for 1 minute, we will be with you, and Mary Michele will answer your question. If you have questions about astrology or your horoscope, 241-1310, and we will be with Dorothy in exactly 1 minute.
Monica Seles is back. It's the WTA Tour Championships, November 13th through the 19th at Madison Square Garden. This time around marks the return of three-time championships title winner Monica Seles. The WTA Tour Championships, featuring the top 16 players in the world: Steffi, Arantxa, Gabby, Conchita, and more. It's the grand finale of the entire tour with the richest prize purse in women's tennis. Get your tickets right now at the Madison Square Garden box office and through Ticketmaster outlets, or call 212-465-6500. That's 212-465-6500. Reserve your seats for the most exciting tennis of the year. Don't miss it.
Hi, this is Monica Seles, and I'm glad to be back at the WTA Tour Championships at Madison Square Garden, November 13th through the 19th, and I hope you will be there too.
It's the WTA Tour Championships at Madison Square Garden. Tennis, anyone?
And good morning. You're listening to Mary Michele on WVIP. Let's talk to Dorothy, who is watching on cable channel 12. Good morning, Dorothy. Date of birth is February 16th, 1947. You're on with Mary Michele.
Good morning, Dorothy.
Morning.
Did you have a particular question?
I was just wondering how things are going to be going in the coming year, and especially job-wise.
Okay. This has been your year, by the way. It's been the Chinese year of the pig. So whenever one comes back to that cycle, one experiences a sense of completion of sorts. So I don't know if that kind of rings true, but anyway. You
kind of better this year.
I'm sorry?
Year has been better than most.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's it's always good in the year of the pig you give clarity when you come back to your own animal year, as you do when the sun comes back to your sun sign. You have the sun in Aquarius, as you know, and you have the moon in Capricorn. So you're the reverse of the previous caller. They're, both ruled by Saturn, the ancient ruler Saturn. The new ruler of Aquarius, of course, is the planet Uranus. Mercury in Pisces, Venus in Capricorn, Mars in Aquarius. Let's see. Have you come out of a relationship?
Yeah, but not recently. It's been a while.
Yeah, maybe 89, 88, 80, starting to, well, anyway. I think that there's some correlation here between the work that you're doing and the end of the relationship process. The moon in Capricorn, Venus in Capricorn. What kind of work do you do?
Oh, I work for a telephone company.
Uh-huh. So you're good with figures?
Yes.
Okay. Mercury in Pisces. There's an underpinning of you, though, that wishes to do something that is more dreamlike, or is there some way that you are able to interpret or express, the underbelly, your unconscious? Is there some way that do you paint? Do you write poetry? Do you do things at all in any way that are kind of...
I've always been very good in all of those kind of areas.
Oh, you have?
Drawing
And is there have you ever figured out a way that you could make money with them?
No.
No? But you'd like to?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, Venus in Capricorn is about learning to have self-worth in the way in which you make money. And the moon in Capricorn is money is an important issue. The sun in Aquarius, it's not particularly. Your will, your overall drive is much more important to you to have something to inspire you and new beginnings. You'd be a little ahead of your time in terms of the ideas that you might have. The stuff that you do at the phone company, is it any kind of new accounting, programming? Do you work in any area that might be considered on the cutting edge?
No, well, actually, it's all kinds of new services that they're, developing.
Aha. Okay, well, this is very important. I think this is a very good thing. And you asked me specifically about your job, right?
Yeah.
Are you not feeling that being in these new services is good, or is there some area of it that's not working for you?
We're just wondering if the jobs are going to be there. The way things are going with the big companies.
It's going to be there. And you're always going to have a little bit of a foothold because you understand change. You're good at change. But you're always going to worry about it because you have this underpinning of not feeling terribly comfortable about not feeling your worth in the money that you make. So you're going to worry more about the money than the actual job. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So I think you're going to be fine, really. Just trust that the money will be there and keep coming up with those new ideas.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, by the way, I don't know how many people know this. I'm putting on a different hat now for just a second. Take a look at the mailing you're getting from 9X. It may save you some money there, and I think that's probably something that Dorothy has something to do with. But very interesting concepts that they're coming out with. Now, let us get back to Pluto, Miss Michele. Mary Michele is with us, taking your calls on astrology and horoscopes. 241-1310, the number to call. We got as far as...
Persephone.
Whatever her name was.
Persephone's name means she who is to be feared. And that doesn't mean literally that she is the one. What it is saying, as in all of these myths and stories, whenever someone talks in a mythological context, and we have Joseph Campbell to thank for a lot of this, because Joseph Campbell in his series with Bill Moyers on PBS has opened the way for a lot of us to get more in-depth about these storytelling procedures. All of the psychiatrists in the past, 50 years that set up the basis of psychiatry have also used a lot of archetypal mythological characters. But I think in the last 10 years there's been a greater boost of it. Anyway, back to Persephone. She who is to be feared means that it's the self. It's that in ourself which is to be feared. And what happens often is that we fear that which we don't know. And I think this is where the concept of evil or the devil comes from, because we're afraid of the things that we can't explain. And Persephone, being the goddess of the underworld, she also can go back and forth between the worlds. In other words, I didn't finish the story, but what happened to her was that her mother finally found out where she was and negotiated with Zeus, with Jupiter, to get her back. but she had eaten 7 seeds of the pomegranate. So she was required to stay in the underworld for 7 months of the year. But the rest of the year, she is out in the sunlight. So the idea behind this, what you have to understand in terms of yourself, and that's what these mythological characters are doing always, is representing a side of yourself, is that she shows us how part of the time we have to go down into the underworld and look at these underpinnings of ourselves and not be afraid of it. That the unconscious and things that don't make sense are not things. Of course, you're going to have fear. Fear is, a part of life. We can't get away from it. But I think you have to go over the fear and walk into it. You have to face it. And it's by facing it that you can truly transform yourself, which is the other part of the sign of Scorpio, the planet Pluto, and the goddess Persephone, is the idea of transformation. Because eventually what happens is that you do, once you've faced the fears and you've delved into the realm of the unconscious, then you truly transform yourself and you come out the other side a much more whole person, holistic person. You probably won't stop having these issues of having to go back and forth, as Persephone did. She went back and forth between the worlds. But let me say a little bit about the nature of the planet Pluto and when he was discovered. Pluto was...
Why he?
Well, he's the god of the underworld,
okay.
And Persephone is his queen. And in the ancient myths, the Sumerian myths, it was always the conscious and the unconscious had a duality, had a male and female side to it. Man, as he progressed in certain areas, perhaps digressed in others, and he tried to make people be one thing or the other, male or female. And the point is that we eventually want to get back to having both within our consciousness.
Okay, we're talking to Mary Michele. We're going to get to her Aurora in just a couple of seconds. If you have a question or about astrology or your horoscope, 241-1310, the number to call. Back with Aurora and your calls at WVIP in 2 minutes.
Are a little duller. Game shows lose. Talk shows are just talk.
Today we're going to be talking with...
Now that there's Court TV weekdays. It isn't staged television played to be dramatic. Court TV is the real-life drama of justice live as it happens day in and day out, Monday through Friday, and nothing else comes close. From the Rodney King police brutality trial to the custody battle over Gregory K. From charges of gay bashing in the military to the case of Reginald Denny, Court TV brings an impartial, objective look into America's courtrooms. It's the real whole story. Most people say Court TV is so riveting, it's addictive. But you can turn it off and do the 100 other things that make up your week. Court TV keeps you posted on trial development so you're never lost. Watch Court TV weekdays. Court TV. Watch a little. Watch a lot.
And you can order Court TV by calling Cablevision of Yorktown at 962-4444. 962-4444. Back with Mary Michele in 1 minute.
I don't know about you, but for me, there never seem to be enough hours in the day. Between work and home, I'm always running the 100-yard dash. So when I need help, I expect the same fast response everyone expects of me. That's why I like Con Edison's TeleChoice, Con Edison's new 24-hour customer service line. Whenever I call Con Edison, TeleChoice instantly guides me to the information I need.
Your last payment was received on...
And it even lets me talk with a representative at any time.
Thank you for calling Con Edison. This is Mr. Gregg speaking. How can I help you?
Either way, I can count on Con Edison's TeleChoice for fast answers. It helps me stay one step ahead, even when I'm running behind.
Check your Con Edison bill for your account number and the number to call. Then just pick up the phone. It's that simple. TeleChoice, your 24-hour connection to Con Edison.
And we're back with Mary Michele taking your calls on astrology and horoscopes at 241-1310. And let's get on the phone now with Aurora. Date of birth, October 3rd, 1933. Good morning, Aurora. You're on with Mary Michele.
Good morning, Aurora.
I just would like to know, this past year and a half, there have been terrible disruptions in both my professional and physical life. And I need to know, I'm getting better and I'm hopefully getting back on track, and I need to know what, if anything, I can forward to.
Okay. May I just say that it's such a lovely name, Aurora.
Thank you.
It's the beginning of the day, right? The sun coming up. The idea of Aurora. It was also the name of Sleeping Beauty.
Right.
Right. Okay, the sun in Libra, the moon in Aries. You were born at the full moon, so there is this polarity in life between the conscious and the unconscious. You might feel some kind of sense of understanding with this idea of Persephone that I was talking about before, of going back and forth between the conscious and the unconscious, because whenever you're born at the full moon, there is that kind of polarity with your workings with the consciousness. Mercury in Libra, Venus, Mars in Scorpio, Jupiter in Libra. Let's see, Venus, Mars, and Scorpio. This is pretty healthy. Your feminine side, your feminine masculine side, your understandings of how the male and female within yourself and in your relationship to others works pretty well. Are you married?
Yes.
Do you feel that the way you work within your relationship is a pretty healthy one?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I forgot the question exactly. You were asking about this year?
Yes, if my future is, because my whole physical and professional life was totally disrupted this past year and a half. And I need to know, I'd like to know if the future...
Right. Okay, this disruption, was it something that just happened in the last year and a half, or had it been building? Had it been building since like 1988?
Well, it's a combination of both.
Yeah, because I think really there has been a turnaround, and probably in the last year and a half there's been more clarity that has come to you, so perhaps the clarity might have been of a shocking value. You might feel that, it's hard to adjust to these things that you feel might have been forced upon you. But I really feel that you made some kind of a decision to do this, and you're working to rebuild now in a way. The sign of Libra is about, in general, trying to understand other people's point of view too much. Libra, the balance, and you have Mercury in Libra as well. You have Jupiter in Libra. You have a lot of planets in Libra. So on a lot of levels, whenever you expand Jupiter in your mind, Mercury, and the Sun, your will, you are often trying to negotiate according to the needs of other people. And I think somehow whatever happened a year ago, or the difficulties that you're talking about, you probably came to some kind of a decision where you weren't going to do that as much. Does this ring a bell? Hello?
Yes, very much so.
Okay. Well, I think it's a good decision. I think that you just need the courage of your convictions. You need to trust the idea that you made the right decision, and sometimes even when you make it, it's so hard to change. It's hard for all of us to change and, perhaps eliminate situations or people from our lives that just aren't working anymore. But I think you've made the decision, and it was a good one for you, and I think you just have to trust, but continue to analyze it and intuitively feel that you have made the right decision.
Good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for calling. Right now, let us get to Amelia. Amelia is on line 2, calling from Katona, watching on cable channel 12. Date of birth. Happy almost birthday, November 4th, 1949. May I be the first to wish you a happy birthday if nobody else has done it, Amelia? Good morning. You're on with Mary Michele.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, November 4th, 1949. Okay, you were born with the Sun in Scorpio, as you know, and the Moon in Taurus. This is another full moon baby, another person that was born dealing with the polarities in life, conscious and unconscious. Mercury in Scorpio, Venus in Sagittarius. Are you married?
No, I'm not.
I think there's a strong possibility that you're going to have something coming in the end of November. You're going to be open to new possibilities in the area of love, if that's interesting to you, if that's something that you would like. Mars in Virgo. You have a square between Venus and Mars. This is a hard angle. It usually means that it's difficult for someone that has this aspect to sustain relationships, because the male and female within yourself is constantly at war. So perhaps you've been working on it recently. Have you been working on learning how to deal with relationships?
No, not really. Not at all.
You haven't been working on it at all?
No, I haven't.
I think the way you say that,
I should start working on though.
Yeah, I think you know. I think you've already started because you're more aware. You're saying that with a little bit of humor and understanding. So I think that means that you already know that you're well on the way. And the minute that one starts to acknowledge something and, verbalize it and to live it, which I think you're doing because you have the sense of humor about it. It's a leap to see one's foibles. I think this means that you're well on the way to doing something about it. Were you asking me about something specific? I'm sorry, I forgot.
Nothing specific, just general for possibly the following year.
Okay. It has not been a good time in terms of your will for the last more or less 10 years. Things probably were not, you were being tested a lot. Did you change jobs or did you have difficulty finding the work that you wanted to do?
I just started this job about 6 years ago, so I'm staying with the job I'm with now.
Good. But, has it been tough at times? Has it been, like you're having to, well, anyway, it's going to change. The planet Pluto that we're talking about today, which is the ruler of Scorpio, is moving on into the sign of Sagittarius. So as of after the 10th or 11th of this month, there is a strong possibility that you're going to have new inspiration in the place that you work and also just in general in the way that you live your life on many levels.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, thanks for calling.
All right, thank you for calling. We're talking to Mary Michele on Meet the VIPs, taking your calls on astrology and horoscope. 241-1310, the number to call. We will be back in 2 minutes. Finding holiday gifts is easy, but finding distinctive gifts, well, that's not so easy. At J. Mark Jewelers, it's easy to find distinctive gifts. That's because we design and craft so much of our jewelry ourselves. Quality and selection, service and price. For 25 years, Steve, a graduate gemologist and goldsmith, has stood behind his work. At J. Mark, the work is done on the premises, not sent out. So for whoever is on your gift list this holiday season, and whether it's diamond jewelry, earrings, gold, or a watch that they're wishing for that one-of-a-kind gift, J. Mark Jewelers, Katona Shopping Center, 232-4143. Shop J. Mark Jewelers this holiday season. J. Mark Jewelers, jewelry created for now and forever. And if you have a call for Mary Michele, give us a call now, 241-1310. Any question dealing with horoscopes or astrology, 241-1310. And we're going to be talking to Debbie from Mount Kisco coming up in just a couple of moments here at WVIP. In just one instant, disaster can strike your home, whether due to fire, flooding, or roof collapse. Any accident that necessitates an evacuation, major repair, or cleanup effort can leave your family on the street with no place to go and no one to turn to. Now introducing Personal Disaster Recovery Service. PDRS dispatches qualified personnel anytime, day or night, to assist with temporary lodging and a cash advance of up to $500. PDRS will dispatch a contractor to board and secure the damaged areas to protect from unwanted intruders. They'll even secure kennel facilities for the family's pet. If you travel for business, have elderly parents, or are a seasonal resident, when disaster strikes, Personal Disaster Recovery Service is your advocate on the scene until you personally can take charge. When disaster strikes, Personal Disaster Recovery Service is there with the same security and safety plan already in use by most major corporations. For peace of mind, call 1-800-435-7016. That's 1-800-HELP-016. The first 10 callers to review the PDRS plan will receive a free personal home fire extinguisher. Call 1-800-HELP-016. Sleep soundly knowing if disaster strikes, PDRS is there to help. Dial 1-800-HELP-016 right now. And we're back with Mary Michele, now taking your calls on astrology and horoscope at 241-1310. Good morning to Debbie, listening on 1310. Date of birth, October 7th, 1961. Debbie, you're on with Mary Michele.
Hi, Debbie.
No, about my health.
Your health. Okay. You have the sun in Libra, the moon in Virgo, Mercury in Scorpio, Venus in Virgo.
Please stop attention for the next 5 minutes. Sorry. Or your call will be interrupted.
That's okay. I'll just keep talking. All right. So you have this sun